Just finished practice 5 yesterday. Big credit to Coach Kramer, Coach Cahill, and their staff. Strength and conditioning, they did a phenomenal job with the guys this summer. We're able to put on a lot of good weight, muscle mass. Had a lot of the true freshmen here. It makes a big difference with Coach Kramer's staff and with the help from our administration with Matt Larson of getting our kids enough food to eat in the summer. We had great food at our fueling station, our Gate City Bank fueling station, as well as over in the cafeteria and stuff. What we're finding out is the summer's becoming so much more valuable. It's always been valuable, but with us playing as late as we've played and with the amount of kids that have had surgeries in December and January and even beyond, some of those guys aren't getting that 6-8 weeks in the winter. They're usually recovering, and so the summer's been so valuable to us. And having the nutrition over there is so important, as well as having everybody around. And Jim and his staff have done a great job, and our kids are in great shape. So excited about where we're at coming into camp. Like I said, we're on an off day today. We have a new NCAA rule this year. In the past, it's always been 29 practice opportunities before you play a game. They cut that down to 25. So in essence, you're finding a couple of days off here and there. I think it's a good rule, simply because we had all 110 athletes here this summer, and that's a great advantage to have everybody here. They're doing enough things. There's enough captains' practices and things that 25 practices is enough to get yourself ready to play a game. So we're, like I said, we're through 5 days, and we'll go 5 more days and then take an off day, and then we'll go 4 days, and then school starts. So this is probably as few a practices as we've had prior to school starting in my time here. But guys are playing hard, doing a really good job. Obviously, we'll get into different personnel and stuff, but open up for questions.
Listed as a starting left tackle. I know he got some reps there, obviously, before the ACL. What have you seen since the injury to say he's our guy at that spot?
Well, we wanted to move Colin inside to the guard position to solidify the interior line. And, last year we thought Dylan was really progressing well, was potentially going to get into that top 5 or 6, and then he was injured. But he's a pure left tackle, and we think he's a really difference-maker player. And he's back 100% from his knee injury. He's not had any ill effects from the knee from the first 5 practices. He's able to go through every rep. And, right now I'm really impressed with our offensive line because we probably have 8, 9, 10 guys that are vying for some spots in there. Obviously, Colin can move back out to tackle, but between Dylan and Zach Johnson and Cordell and even Luke Bacon could play there, it afforded us the opportunity to move CC inside.
What's the challenge of getting all those guys involved in the game plan?
Well, it'll be a challenge, but in the same respect, you'll see some of them playing some wide receiver. You'll see 2 and 3 back sets. You'll see a number of those kids on special teams. It's you never have enough of those guys. We found that out last year. We thought we had a ton of depth last year, and then we end up pulling a red shirt in game 8. So, I don't know how long that'll go. You knock on wood that hope you keep them all healthy, but in the same respect, they're talented guys. We have to find ways to get them the football, but it'll make our special teams better. Getting Lance and Seth and Adam and Bruce all on special teams, Ty as well. Getting those guys on special teams will make our teams that much better.
Didn't look different to you this fall coming in. He had some great opportunities this summer, certainly, but does he look different, look a little bit stronger, look like your senior leader?
Well, he's always been one of the best leaders we've had here. He's off to a great start in camp. We're trying to challenge him every day with different things that he can do at the line of scrimmage, challenging him more mentally than we are physically. I think from a physical standpoint, you took a lot of time off in the spring, didn't throw the ball because he just had a little elbow irritation. That's cleared up now, so he's fresh. He's really fast. He's put on a little bit of weight. He's gotten a lot stronger. You're right. He's had some wonderful experiences over the summer. He's just excited to get going and excited to lead a lot of those young guys and see where he can distribute the football, because that's something that we have to challenge Easton every day is, go where the defense is telling you to take it. And he's going against a really good defense out there, and so he's getting better every day.
How have you seen him continue to progress his game through that opportunity of kind of teaching now, having a younger quarterback room the last couple of years?
Well, he just understands everything about the game of football, and all those young kids, whether you're a quarterback, receiver, can be a sponge for him, whether it's in the meeting room, out on the field, because he's coaching everybody. It's like having an extra coach on the field, which is so nice, because when he comes back in the huddle, he can grab a wide receiver or running back and tell him, the landmark he wanted them at, or where he read them at, and how he feels they can get open better, whatever it may be. He's such a servant leader. He makes everybody around him so much better.
Chris, backup quarterback, is that a spot when you expect to have that the week of Cal Poly decided or earlier?
No, I don't think it'll be much earlier. I'm really impressed with both Holden and Noah coming out of the spring and into the fall, in the fact that they took every rep in the spring, and we were on double reps, so we had two quarterbacks taking every rep. So they're so much more confident and comfortable in what they're doing. We'll do a number of things throughout fall camp and even early on in the season that give them some competition, and by maybe Cal Poly week I could tell you who would go in first, but right now I'm not ready to say that. And also Trey Lance is a really good athlete that we're excited about. It's just he's learning the playbook for the first time.
Cam and Jake listed at kickers at a competition through fall camp, or how are you handling that?
Yeah, right now Cam would be the guy on field goals. We need to get Jake some opportunities. It's no different from anywhere else. Can you do it when the lights are on? And I'm excited about Jake because he's got great leg strength, and he just needs some experience and some opportunities, and we hope to be able to give him some of those this year. And then from the kickoff between Cam, between Jake, between Garrett Wagner, we're still in a competition of who's going to kick off. And we really hope we have at least two, if not three guys, so that we can rotate that a little bit and keep guys' legs fresh.
Look at your specialists. You have a new punter, new holder, new long snapper, and there's, Cam has the job now for kicker.
Yep.
That's an important area that's going to be.
It's a big concern for us, without question. I think we've done a really good job through 5 days of emphasizing our special teams. We've probably practiced a little bit more some of our techniques and drills. We know as a staff, and talking to the seniors when I had my conversation with those guys late in the summer, it's an area we have to improve upon. Is all of our special teams, not just a kicker, a punter, long snapper, whatever it be. All of our special teams, we have to block better. We have to be able to cover better. But those specific positions, I'm excited. I think Ross Kennelly, who right now is the odds-on favorite to be the long snapper, same thing. He just needs some experience in game situation, but he's been in the program now for 3 years. He's been really good thus far in camp. We need to find who would be his backup, because Ross is also a linebacker and a pretty good special teams guy. The punting situation, Wags, and we have a freshman in here named Nick Phelps that has a tremendous leg. We just need to get him some experience as well. So it's something that it'll be an ongoing process, I think, through the non-conference season to get kickers, punters, maybe even a second long snapper some opportunities in game situations.
Statistically, your special teams is the worst since you've been here. You're 80th and 90th in some areas.
Yeah, we were not very good.
And you said you have to improve on. How do you do it? Do you coach different, or what are you going to do?
Well, I think you drill it more, and you break it down more within each segment. Kick return. We kick return. Bottom line, we have to be better at the front wall, the front five guys, and so we have many more competition drills. Coach Roll's taken the kick return over, and so I'm excited for Tyler, because he's got the mentality that those guys are going to be good at that technique. Punt defense, we got to be better at attacking guys at the line of scrimmage. It's hard to block punts right now with the way people are punting in different formations every week, but you need to be better at the line of scrimmage. We've got great returners. We have Darius Shepard, who I think is a phenomenal punt returner, and we have Bruce and Tyler, that are great kick returners. We have to block better for those guys to be successful, so you have to practice those things. And we're going to do more live setting drills as far as the punt defense and the kick return. But without question, the only one that kickoff's been solid for a number of years, and I'm excited because Coach Gazer will handle the kickoff unit again. Punting, we have to punt the ball better, and we have to cover it better.
That showed through in the title game. Or was it a season-long thing with culminating?
I think it was a season-long deal. Part of that is the fact that you have to play more starters because we had so many injuries that we weren't able to get a lot of the backups. Adam Colford would have been a phenomenal special teams player, was hurt. Bruce is a great special teams player. Ty's a great special teams player. Well, Bruce was our only healthy running back all season. And we have to get more guys involved. I think the other thing that's going to help us this year is the fact of the redshirt rule. I mean, we're going to play some freshmen. I don't know. You don't ask me which ones because I don't know, other than to say all of them have an opportunity to, because we're going to play some of those guys. And, last year would have been a great example. Michael Tutsi would have played in the national championship game and probably would have been one of our best kids on punt and kickoff because he's that type of a player. But I wasn't going to burn a shirt on one game. But absolutely, we were fortunate to win the national championship. But in the same respect, they can't take it away from us.
Practices in, have you seen a lot more out of those freshmen because they do have much more of a chance to play? Maybe they're more engaged?
You hope they're engaged, and I think our coaches are forcing them to be engaged. But no, through the first 5 practices, I would say just the opposite. They're swimming. They don't know what's going on. They're just trying to figure out how to get from the residence hall to the Fargo Dome and then out to practice, and the older guys are on them nonstop, and it's fun to watch because you see which ones have some maturity, but it's going to be a long process before we have any of those guys ready to play.
Your schedule sets up. You don't go on the road until October 6th. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Great thing. 19,000 people in the Fargo Dome every week. That's awesome. And so thrilled that Jeremy was able to get that squared away, that we could have that many home games. What a great gift to our seniors, especially the fifth-year guys that are going to get to play that extra game at home. It's special to play in the Fargo Dome and to have that extra opportunity to play. Our guys, because we're experienced, they don't fear going on the road. We know it's hard to win on the road. It is in our league especially. It's hard to win at home in our league. So I think just having the ability to play at home for those seniors is a special thing.
Your non-conference schedule set you up for the Valley with the 3 games?
Well, it's never an ideal situation. It's just hard to schedule right now. It's never an ideal situation to have one game and then a bye week and then play 10 in a row. But that's the cards we're dealt right now. It's just hard to find games. You'd like to play 3 games, have a bye week, and get into your Valley season. That's hard to do in today's day and age of scheduling. But I like the games we have. I think that there's tremendous football teams coming in here. Cal Poly, who didn't have a good year last year, I think will be back into the playoff picture because of the type of offense they run, and I know they're really good on defense. North Alabama will have really good athletes that'll come in here that'll challenge us, and Delaware's just an excellent football team. Delaware's a top 15 team in my opinion, so to have those guys coming in the Fargo Dome would be great.
Coach, go ahead.
I was going to say you have Menard and Derek Tuskill as an or. Is that a rotation thing with Greg Coe if injury, or how is that going to play out?
We are very fortunate to have 4 starters at defensive end, in my opinion. When you look at Greg, you look at Tuska, you look at Caleb Butler, and you look at Stanley Jones. All 4 of those kids are starters for us. It doesn't matter how you list them. That's what I appreciate about all those guys. They know they're going to play an awful lot of snaps for us. I couldn't even tell you how it was listed. I probably should know that, and probably didn't have me go through it. I don't know how it's listed. I just know we have 4 great defensive ends that are all going to play a bunch for us. But you guys have watched North Dakota State enough. We're going to always rotate defensive linemen in there. How it's listed, it doesn't matter. They're all going to play about the same amount of snaps.
Everyone's gushing about the redshirt rule. Have you thought about how you need to be cautious with it?
Other than the fact that somebody says, "Oh, you played that kid the 5th game," that's the only thing, and that's that's our job to make sure that that young man's played a game. What'd we think? All right, he may play another one, and then we just may not redshirt him, or we get into a situation where we play a kid in game 4. Boy, he really excelled well. We play him in 5. Oh, we get an injury. Oh, shoot, we have to play him in 6. And now, okay, we got one more game left on that. And I'll never go into never go into this saying, here's what they're going to do. We're going to go evens for these kids. A through Z or A through L is going to be evens, and K on or M on is going to be odds. You can't do that. I don't know how we're going to play these kids, but in the same respect, I know that they know there's an opportunity to play somewhere along the line.
You have to play it like it's a weekly decision about, if this person in week 1 does it, do we say, oh, do we give them another week? I mean, it's going to be kind of a week-to-week thing.
It will be a week-to-week thing, and there's still going to be some true freshmen that are going to play all 11 games. There always are. That's the thing that I've learned over the last few years, that if they have the ability to help you somewhere along the line, you play them. Because I look what happened to Nick DeLuca 2 years ago, and he gets hurt. Fortunate he gets the whole year back. And then I look at Greg Menard. He gets hurt, has the whole year back. Well, I'm kind of kicking myself that we didn't play Dylan Radins as a true freshman, because he could have helped us as a true freshman, maybe in 6 games, but he could have helped us. You don't know he's going to get hurt the next year. I get that. But, it's so difficult in today's college football with the limited scholarships you have, with the limited amount of people you can take on the road, to be able to go unscathed for 5 years and not have a critical injury. I raised hands of the seniors. I think, 20 guys have been out more than a month sometime during their career. It's just difficult today in college football.
Is this rule an advantage to strong programs or weaker
I
programs?
think it could be an advantage to everybody. I don't know from strong to weak. I just know that at the FCS level, when you're dealing with 63 scholarships compared to the FBS where you're dealing with 85 scholarships, you have to find a way to get more bodies out there. And it'll help. For sure, I see it at the FCS level helping, because you're going to be able to play more kids in a 60. I know we have 85 guys on aid, but there's only 63 that we're spreading out. So we have to find ways to get some of those young kids some experience. And that's the tricky point. Is it, let's take a backup strong safety. Let's say it would have been last year, and Robbie Grimsley's helmet pops off. I don't think we would have put Michael Tutsi in the game. We'd have put somebody else in the game, because we wouldn't want to blow one game on one play and then Robbie goes back in. But if it's a situation where a young man can take 20 to 30 snaps, and then we'll do that. If he can't, then we have to be smart to say, well, he just played one play. That cost him that game.
Something where you might be more apt to hold a guy out till later in the year. Say you get to the playoffs and you're going to have 4 games left at the most, then someone be available? Or is it something where you play them a game or two early and see how they do in the game?
If they're ready mentally and physically, I think we would play them early. Okay, but if let's take a running back, and I know Sabian Clark's our only true freshman running back. We hope to not have to play him early. There's no reason to. We have so much depth there. But if you take a defensive back position, what happens if a couple kids are nicked up and can't play that game or are limited that game, and you don't want to have Robbie Grimsley take 30 extra snaps on special teams because he is beat up, maybe you play that guy in that game. If you're healthy at a position, you probably don't. If you're nicked up at a position, you probably do. But every week's going to be a different scenario.
Your depth of wide receiver, what are you looking at there?
I'm excited. I've been really impressed the last these first 5 practices with a number of wide receivers. Obviously, Darius Shepard is an all-conference player and phenomenal football player, and he's shown it. He's really done a great job. Dallas Freeman, I think, is a really underrated receiver that is off to a great start. That now that RJ's not here, I think he'll be more of a focal point of our offense because he's ready for a breakout season. I've been really impressed with Dez Kane. And Dez, it takes a while, and it took him a full year, but he understands everything about our system, and I'm excited for Dez. Christian's done some good things. Watson has. At a wide receiver, he missed spring ball, so he's just behind a little bit mentally. Been pleased with Jimmy Kapuris, been pleased with Cole Jacob, been pleased with Trevor Height. There's a number of guys. Eric Bachmeyer moving over has given us some depth. I've been pleased with Eric, and I know I'm missing somebody there. So we have some good competition in there. Now, when we get into some of these third down situations in fall camp or scrimmage situations, when we shelve Shep or shelve Dallas or something, who makes a play? And that's obviously, if you can make a play on Jalen Allison or Marquise Bridges or Josh Hayes, then you're probably making it at the Valley level.
Running backs would kind of shift out to wide receiver or slot. You said you'd like to play a few of them outside.
All of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say, boy, we're only going to put, no, all of them. I mean, we're putting them all there. In practice situations. Now, in a month, will one excel more than another potentially? But we're using them all in those situations.
You also
Lost a couple of pass-catching tight ends. Are you trying to identify guys that will step in and fill the roles that Connor and Jeff filled?
Yeah, two great players we lost. Really pleased with the two young kids that we have right now in Gindorf and Babich. I think those two guys will provide some of that in both the run game and the pass game. They're both bigger than Jeff and Connor, just not as experienced. And then Nate Jenson, getting a healthy Nate Jenson back really helps us. His hips were bad. He had surgery again. He's back healthy, feels good. And Ben Ellefson is as good of on-the-ball tight end as we've had here. Ben is a dominant blocker, improving in the pass game, but he's going against the best defensive ends, I think, in the league, and is doing a great job. I think I'm excited for Ben in what he can do this year. And then we're moving Brock Robbins around. Brock's a great athlete that we have to find a way to get the football to and not play just 10 plays, 15 plays at fullback, because we also have Malmstrom there. So we have good depth there. So we have to find ways to get those all those guys involved and see where they best fit in the passing game. And to answer that question right now, I'm not sure. I just know we have a number of options.
Jalen Wimbush permanently back at safety.
Yeah, he and James are playing free safety right now. We made the decision this summer to slide Jackson down to the Sam Backer Bear position where Jabril's at, and we did that for a couple reasons. One, we wanted to give Wimbush and James Hendricks more repetitions at the free safety because we think one of those two or both of those guys are going to play a significant amount of snaps. If we played a game right now, they both split time probably until somebody emerges. We need to challenge Jabril and move him inside some, which allows Jackson more opportunities potentially to get on the field. I think Jackson's game is suited closer to the ball better. And through 5 practices, I've been really impressed with Jackson Brown. He'd be in our mix right now of playing a decent amount at linebacker. Plus, it gives us an opportunity to move Jabril inside. You know, we have Levi and Dan that I think are excellent football players coming off of pretty significant knee injuries. And so we need to have some depth in there. Merck gives us that. Jabril gives us that. We've got a couple of young backers that can help us there. But to answer your question, Jalen will play nickel and free safety. We're trying to eliminate corner from him right now.
You said all the guys that got hurt last year are all back, ready to go 100%?
Yeah, they're all close to 100% or practicing. I don't know if we'd put all of them in live situations, but all of them are on target to play in the first game.
Jenson and Tootsie Jenson.
Yeah, Nash is doing it. He's one of those guys that's in the mix in that top 8-9. He's a road grader. You know, he's 330 pounds and he's a physical guy, and he's just learning our system more and more as a redshirt freshman. But he's in the mix, just like Carson Schoening. Those guys will allow us to move Tanner around and let Tanner play some center and some guard. That's where we're pleased with the depth and Nash's ability to understand what we're doing. It's easy when the play's called in the huddle, but now can he get with Easton's group when Easton's going to change the play one time, maybe twice, and be able to process all that and still execute his assignment?
Chris, you have a lot of guys, like you've mentioned, coming back from serious injuries. Is there a common thing that you've heard from guys that have done it, like Nick DeLuca, about what he really maybe learned in that year where he was sidelined with an injury and stuff like that?
Well, you appreciate the game. I know in talking to those guys, you appreciate everything about the game. You don't realize, and I talked to Nick and Nate a lot when they were hurt in 2016, how even though you're a captain, even though you're on the roster, boy, you're not in any game plans. You're really not in the heat of it. It's hard, and I think that Greg will be a great example of somebody that was an integral part of us winning last year's national championship because he helped the younger guys. But you're not a part of it when you're not practicing, and you appreciate all the little things about the game. You appreciate the time in the locker room, the time in the cafeteria, the time, the downtime you're with guys in the players' lounge, as well as, you know, it gives those guys, you know, they take care of their body. You can tell, you know, they watch everything they eat. They watch after practice. They're in the cold tubs. They're in the warm tubs. I mean, that's the thing that people don't. Those kids that have had significant injuries. Practice for us ends at noon. I know a kid like Greg Menard, Dan Marlette. They don't ever get over to the cafeteria till 1:15, 1:30 because it takes them an hour to make sure their body's ready to go for the next day.
Chris, I know Mike talked to you about special teams, the new kickoff rule. How much does that play into also getting your special teamers ready for this year?
We've been bouncing ideas off of Jerry Rosberg. I know it's not going. They talked about it in the NFL. He told me, but they're not instituting it there. That's going to be kind of a wait and see thing as far as when do you fair catch it? Well, if somebody's going to put it up there with a ton of hang time and you catch it outside the numbers, inside the 5, I think you should fair catch it. Now, are you going to tell Bruce to do that? That's tough, because what if it's a line drive kick that he catches at the 5-yard line and there wasn't much hang time? Well, you'd want him to take it out. I think we're going to kind of see on that. We've talked about, well, if you had a field return and the ball's kicked in the corner, boy, there's a lot of scenarios on that of you better have some savvy, smart kids, because sure enough, we're going to fair catch one and we're going to have everybody hooked up. And then everybody's going to say, well, why did he fair catch it? He had everybody hooked up on that one, could have gone to the house. And I take a kid like Ty Brooks, good luck telling that kid to fair catch it. Ty isn't going to do that. He's going to take it and go. And so that's something that we need to look at. And part of that is where the ball is kicked. I think the biggest thing, if it's inside the numbers, I think everything's going to be returned, unless it's a real short kick, which wouldn't matter. But if it's a deep kick outside the numbers, that's where potentially that will come into play. And that's something that we may learn in the first 3 weeks. Boy, we have to fair catch X. We can't get it back to the 25. Or no, we still have it hooked up because it's a near sideline return.
Chris, coming back from a national championship team, how much do you and the staff talk and be proactive with the guys about not taking anything for granted? And how much do your players, some of the seniors, help patrol that for you with the younger players?
Well, what you did last year means nothing. And we've been talking about complacency here since 2011, and I just don't believe in it, to be honest with you. I don't think our kids do. I think every year's a new year. All our goal is right now is to get better every stinking day so that we can put our best foot forward against Cal Poly. If you ask what our seniors' goal is, it's to win the Missouri Valley Conference Championship. That's the only thing that we ever talk about. But I think it helps having that senior leadership to not ever look ahead of where you're at. We talked, the other thing is, other than the national championship game, in our locker room, and a number of our administrators have been in our locker room, people are excited we won, but it's business as usual. But in the same respect, we haven't lost many games. But in that locker room after the game, okay, we talk about it and we move on quickly. We never, ever get too high after a win unless it's in January, and then it's a free-for-all. But we never get too low after a loss. And I think that's what's allowed us to sustain success is no matter what you did on Saturday, by Monday when we start practice, it's business as usual. And let's see what we can do this week. And I think teaching the young kids that is probably the difficult part, but they'll start to see it. That, boy, we won that game and nobody cares about it come Monday morning, or we lost that game and everybody's still talking on Monday. You come into a team meeting room on Monday, whether it was after the Northern Iowa win or South Dakota State loss, and it's the same thing. I mean, that's what way I want it, What you did last week has no bearing, just like what you did last year.
I'll admit I haven't looked at past rosters, but this offensive line, looking at height and weight, in your recollection, is it as big as you've?
It's big. I think the thing I'm most excited about is the amount of depth. Even last year, I was worried about our depth. This year, because of the guys that can, CC can now play a couple positions. Luke Bacon can play all 4 positions. Dylan Radens, Tanner Volson. We have so many more guys that I'm hoping that we can have a true 7-8 man rotation. Last year it was 5, maybe sometimes we'd get a 6th in there. And I'll be honest, I think Colin Connor was wore out at the end of the year. And that's tough when you're playing every snap, every game. Can we give him 15 plays off, 12 plays off? I think we're going to be able to this year, and it's not just CC. I think everybody was pretty wore out come January on that offensive line. Can we give those guys 15, 20 snaps off so that we can keep them fresh longer, especially because of the early bye week, and we could be going 10 in a row?